Moving on, as per government sources, all Indians awaiting evacuation in Kabul are safe. Now, this came after reports emerged that a group of Indians headed to Kabul airport was stopped by the Taliban fighters, but they then went on to check their documents and later let them go. Sources say there was no harm done to this group. People tracking the developments have also said that there was no specific report of any harm to any of the Indians who are still in Afghanistan. Let's go across to Srinjoy Chaudhary to understand more about the evacuation that's been taking place. Srinjoy, a second flight took off from Kabul today with about 80 Indians on board. What more can you tell us about it?
Yes, of these 85 people, about 60 were Indians from Kabul. A few of them were Indian Air Force personnel and other Indian officials who had gone to supervise this entire effort because the chancellery has been cleared. What we hear is that the plane should be back. It's a C-130 Hercules of the Indian Air Force. It should be back perhaps in the early hours of the morning tomorrow. We don't have the exact time, but one imagines that it will fly via Iran because Pakistan does not allow overflight for Indian Air Force planes, and therefore it will fly via Iran and then possibly be refueled in Gujarat and then get to Hindon, which is close to Delhi. Then that's where the Air Force base is. So that would be another 60, 70 Indians, but a large number, several hundred are still there, and the efforts to get them out are continuing.
Yes, in fact, Srinjoy, of course, right now there is a bit of a scramble there for all the nations who are trying to bring their people out. Now, as flight operations, military flight operations continue, our country is also trying to bring as many back as possible. Any sense and insights that you can get us as to how this process is taking place? Are we coordinating with United States? Who's the deciding factor? Is the airport authority of Kabul airport itself coordinating on which of the country's flights can land when?
Well, the U.S. has taken over the airport. They have several thousand soldiers there. They moved in several thousand soldiers and they are running the airport. The Taliban would also be involved in this process. Let's not forget that the Americans and the Taliban have been negotiating this entire process for a long time. So the Americans are running the airport. So if the Americans are running the airport, you would imagine that India, which has very good relations with the Americans, have sort of discussed the issue with them. We know that Secretary of State Blinken and Mr. Jaishankar, the External Affairs Minister, have had a chat recently. So, and Afghanistan was on the agenda. So very clearly, this has to be done. This has to be sensitively done, tactfully done. The idea, the bottom line is that every Indian citizen who has to come back and wants to come back should be able to come back.
Absolutely. Srinjoy Chaudhary, thank you so much for joining us with that update.